I read the email 3 times before I let myself believe it was real. No hi, no how are you. Just, hey, Joel, I filed the papers. Let's keep this civil. 3 lines. That's how 11 years of marriage ended. I was sitting in a sandbag bunker in western Iraq, half a world away, wearing the same boots I'd had since my last deployment. My name's Joel Harmon, 39 Staff Sergeant, 3rd Deployment. I'd been gone for just under 5 months. When the email came in, I was prepping for night patrol. My wife, ex-wife now, I guess, Lena, she didn't wait until I came home. She didn't wait to talk. She didn't even call. She'd already emptied the joint checking account. She'd already changed the locks on our house in Colorado Springs. She'd already moved in a guy named Zach, a bartender I'd never met, but whose name showed up in our Venmo history a few months back. I didn't reply. I didn't scream or curse or call her. I sat in silence for 5 full minutes. Then I closed my laptop, folded my hands, and stared at the dusty concrete wall across from my cot. Then I typed just one word back: received. That was it. That was all she was going to get from me, for now. My bunkmate Corporal Velez was packing gear when he noticed. You good, Sarge? I didn't even look up. Just fine, I said. He didn't push it. Guys like us, we learn not to pry unless it's life or death. Truth is, I wasn't shocked. Not completely. Something had been shifting between Lena and me since before I shipped out. She got distant, quit texting me first. Phone calls got shorter, colder. Then came the gym classes that ran late, the girls' nights I wasn't invited to, the friends I never met, the sudden interest in budgeting after years of being relaxed with money. I noticed it all, but I didn't fight her on it. That's not how I operate. My dad used to say, a man doesn't panic, he prepares. And I'd been preparing. Quietly. 3 weeks before I deployed, I started moving pieces behind the scenes. I opened a private bank account in a credit union she didn't know about. I routed 25% of my pay into it, not enough to raise suspicion, but enough to stack a safety net. I took my birth certificate, military service documents, and the deed to the house, still technically under my name, thanks to the VA, and stored them in a small off-site locker unit I rented under my cousin's name. I even took the old Rolex my grandfather left me and my mom's jewelry and placed them in that locker, just in case. Lena thought I was going on deployment. What she didn't know was I was also going dark. I wasn't planning to leave her. I was just making sure that if she left me, I wouldn't be destroyed. The night I flew out, she hugged me at the airport. Take care of yourself, she said like I was a coworker clocking out early. Her eyes didn't even get wet. She kissed my cheek, not my mouth. That was the first real goodbye. I just didn't realize it yet. Out there in Iraq, you learn to live with silence. You learn not to expect calls or affection or even fairness. You just focus on staying alive and getting your guys home. But in the back of my head, Lena was always there, like static behind the mission briefings. And then her silence became confirmation. Days without a message, excuses, then that email, then the $67,000 in our savings account. Gone. Clean. 2 nights later, I finally told Velez. She cleaned us out, I said. Lena, he asked. I nodded. Filed for divorce, emptied the account, moved some guy into our house. He paused. Then he said just one thing. What's your plan? Not, I'm sorry. Not, you okay? What's your plan? That's why I respected him. I didn't sleep much after that. My mind was racing, but not with grief. With logistics. I logged into the home security system she forgot I had remote access to. We hadn't used it in a while, but I never disconnected it. And what I saw made my stomach knot. A guy in his mid-30s walking our golden retriever. Lena dancing in the kitchen I'd remodeled myself. My Seahawks hoodie on his back. My dog licking his face. That wasn't heartbreak. That was insult. That was erasure. I watched for 20 minutes, not crying, not angry, just cataloging. Then I started writing a list. Call Ben. Old Army buddy, now a lawyer in Denver. Pull last 6 months of bank statements. Investigate any recent mortgage activity. Check my name on the house title. Review military benefit protections. This wasn't going to be an argument. This was going to be a mission, a calculated strike warning, without emotion, without warning, and without mercy. 2 weeks after the email, I was back on patrol, wiping sweat off my brow when my phone buzzed. I had to duck behind a supply crate just to check it. A notification from our bank. Another withdrawal. $31,400. Gone. That was all that was left in our joint savings. I blinked like maybe I read it wrong, but the number stayed the same. So did the timestamp. Same account, same destination. I opened the app, scrolled through recent activity, and my stomach dropped again. This wasn't a one-time thing. Lena had been moving money for weeks. Small transfers at first, then bigger, always to the same unknown account. By the time I logged out, our shared balance was $9.23 after 11 years, after everything. That night, I used a secure line to call the bank directly. It was 2 a.m. local time, but I needed answers. The woman on the line confirmed what I feared. Lena started withdrawing the day I deployed. 2 months of slow bleeding, then one final sweep. I asked if she'd added anyone to our accounts. She had. Zachary Morales. That bartender from the Venmo logs. I ended the call, stepped outside the barracks, and stared at the desert stars. In the silence, I felt something settle deep inside me. Not rage, not heartbreak. Focus. That's when I messaged Ben, my lawyer buddy. He answered in 5 minutes. Secure line. Call now. We spoke for nearly an hour. I gave him access to what I had. Security footage, transaction logs, emails, even photos of the forged refinance forms I found on a shared cloud folder Lena forgot to lock. Yes, refinance forms. Apparently, Lena and her new boyfriend had refinanced our house, my house, while I was deployed. Problem was, I never signed anything, at least not me. What I saw was a shaky imitation of my signature, copied from an old lease. Middle initial was wrong, date format off. Ben confirmed it immediately. Brother, that's forgery on a federal loan. This isn't just a divorce anymore. This is criminal. 3 days later, I was approved for early stateside leave on grounds of family fraud. I didn't tell anyone I was coming home. Not Lena, not her lawyer, not her boyfriend. I flew back under a different name. Booked a motel under a burner card Ben provided. Used Uber, no rentals. Went full ghost mode. My first stop, the bank that issued the refinance. The moment I showed them my military ID and the original signature on my VA application, the loan officer turned white as chalk. I didn't know, he mumbled. You processed a fake. That's what you need to know, I said. And now we're reporting it. I gave him 24 hours to cooperate with Ben. Then I walked out and sat in my truck. The same one Zach had apparently been driving around in while I was away. The one titled in my name. Later that night, Ben sent a message. We've got something. She moved funds to a man named Miles Spencer. Never heard of him. Turns out Miles is a real estate agent. Specializes in off-market home flips. Cash deals, no paper trail. Ben made a few calls. Guess who Miles had worked with before? Zach Morales, and not once. 3 deals in the past 2 years. Each time involving women going through divorce. Each time the property was sold just below market value. Then the women vanished. So did Zach. This isn't just betrayal, Ben said. This might be a pattern. We're talking about fraud, conspiracy, maybe even organized racketeering. I didn't say much, just nodded. But inside, something hard was forming, like steel cooled in the dark. I logged into the home security system again. This time I watched Zach walking through my kitchen with a man I didn't recognize. Miles. Miles was measuring countertops, talking pricing. Then I saw the listing sheet on the table. Initial asking, $465,000. Will accept $430,000 cash. I'd had the home appraised last year. It was worth over $520,000 in that market. They weren't just selling my house. They were undervaluing it to rush the sale. They thought I wouldn't notice. They thought I was still deployed. Ben and I drove to the county recorder's office the next morning, filed a fraud block against any transaction involving the house, flagged my name for identity theft protection, registered a full challenge to the refinance. Everything frozen. The next move was mine. That night, Lena texted me for the first time since the email. Lena, why is our bank account frozen and the house sale stalled? What are you doing? I didn't reply. She followed up the next day. Lena, we need to talk. Don't make this ugly, Joel. Ugly? She drained me while I was dodging IEDs in a war zone. Now she wanted it clean? Ben called the next morning. Joel, get ready. The FBI's involved. We're not the only case. Zach and Miles, they've hit 3 other military homes. Same pattern. We're gathering evidence now. Do they know I'm home? They have no idea. Good, I said. Let's keep it that way. I didn't text her back. Didn't call. Didn't argue. Instead, I sat across from Ben at a diner outside of town with a laptop open and a live feed running. The security cameras I'd installed before deployment were still active. Interior and exterior. Cloud synced. Hidden from the app Lena used on her phone. She never knew the password was changed before I left. Ben sipped his coffee while we watched them on screen. Zach and a tall guy in khakis were standing in my living room. Miles Spencer, real estate agent, smooth voice, gold watch, holding a clipboard and pacing. We'll list at 470, Miles said, but tell him we've got a cash offer already lined up for 420. Keep it moving. Zach leaned against the wall like he owned the place. Joel's in Iraq. He's got no clue. They both laughed. Then Miles said something that froze the moment in place. If he pushes back, we'll just settle. Military guys don't fight. They just fold. Ben looked at me. You good? I nodded. But inside, my blood had turned to ice. That same night, I forwarded the security feed to Agent Keller, lead FBI investigator for financial crimes targeting military families. I added one line, they're inside. Planning a sale, fraud in progress. 35 minutes later, the feed cut out. Not because of a glitch, because the house was surrounded. Unmarked SUVs, agents with vests. A knock at the door, followed by 2 sets of handcuffs. Zach Morales and Miles Spencer were taken into federal custody without incident. Miles tried to explain. Zach said nothing. The next morning, my phone lit up with text from Lena. Lena, Joel, I just got to the house. What's going on? FBI? Why are they taking files? Lena, call me. This is serious. I didn't do anything wrong. I swear. Then a voicemail. Tears. Panic. Joel, I don't know what they think I did, but I swear I didn't mean for any of this. Please uncall me. I didn't. Not because I didn't want answers, but because I already had them. 2 days later, Ben got a call from Keller. Joel's footage broke the case open. It's bigger than we thought. Turns out Zach and Miles had been targeting active duty soldiers across multiple states. The playbook was simple. Find women left behind during deployment. Romance them. Pressure them into refinancing homes. Sell quickly for cash. Split profits and vanish. And Lena? She was either their latest pawn or a willing accomplice. We were about to find out which. That night, Lena finally showed up at my motel. I didn't answer the door. She stood in the parking lot calling my name until a manager came out and asked her to leave. Then she texted again. Lena, you don't understand. I thought you were going to leave me. Zach said you had a secret account, that you were hiding money. Joel, I did, because I saw this coming. Lena, we didn't mean to hurt you. Joel, you moved another man into my house while I was overseas. No reply for an hour. Then, can we talk? Just face to face. Ben's advice was clear. Don't meet her. Let the feds handle it. So I didn't. 3 days later, Lena was called in for questioning. She arrived without a lawyer, said she was manipulated, said Zach pressured her into everything, said she didn't know the signatures were illegal, said she just wanted a simpler life. She signed a statement admitting to unauthorized use of funds, forgery, and attempted illegal sale of marital property. As part of the deal, she agreed to forfeit her claim on the house, repay what she stole, give up any access to my military pension, stay clear of legal action if I chose not to press full charges. It was my call. Ben asked me one question. What do you want to do? I sat with it for a long time. I thought about 11 years of marriage, of watching my wife disappear in pieces, of how she didn't just leave. She looted the life we built. But I also thought about my peace. I didn't need to see her in court. I didn't need revenge on paper. I needed distance. So I signed the deal. The federal case kept moving. Zach and Miles both flipped, exposing several other fake deals in Colorado, Texas, and Georgia. Military families, deployed husbands, forged refinance forms. The FBI called it a targeted financial abuse scheme. The press called it Operation Homefront. All I cared about was that it was over. Weeks later, I stood on the porch of my house for the last time. It was quiet, cold, still smelled like her perfume in the halls. Her photos were still on the wall. But the home wasn't mine anymore. Not really. It had been turned into a crime scene, a memory I didn't want. So I sold it. Got full market value thanks to Ben's contacts. I used the money to buy a quiet piece of land outside Flagstaff. Built a small A-frame with my hands. No cameras, no passwords, no shared accounts. Just me and a German Shepherd pup named Max. Some nights I get letters, emails from military spouses who saw the news. Some thanking me, some sharing their own stories. One from a woman in Fort Benning said, "You don't know me, but because of your footage, my husband and I got our home back." I pinned that one to my fridge. On the bad days, I read it twice. A month later, I got a call from Agent Keller. Her voice was calm, but I could hear something in her tone. Satisfaction, maybe. "Thought you'd want to know," she said. "Zach Morales took a plea deal. 8 years in federal custody for fraud, conspiracy, and identity theft. No parole for the first 6. Miles Spencer got 12. She paused. "They've named others in the scheme. 3 more arrests pending." I sat on the porch of my new place, staring at the pine trees as the wind moved slow across the valley. "They deserve it," I said. "Yes," Keller replied. "And Joel, your footage, your documents, they built the case. 11 other military families were affected. They're getting their homes back because of you." I didn't say anything, just nodded to no one. Not because I needed thanks, because I needed closure. Lena never tried to see me again. Not after her statement, not after the settlement, not after the indictments. She moved back to her hometown in Oregon. At least that's what Ben told me. Picked up a receptionist job at a new dental clinic. Started over, quietly. I didn't feel anger when I heard that. Just nothing. The house sold within 6 weeks. I made more than expected. That money, along with my savings and pension, let me start over completely. I bought a 10-acre plot outside Flagstaff, built a simple cabin, 2 bedrooms, a wraparound porch. I laid every tile with my hands, carved my initials into the window frame above the sink, hung a wind chime on the porch like the one my mom used to love. I started doing part-time carpentry in town, fixing fences, restoring decks. Quiet work, real work. Every morning I make coffee and walk Max down by the creek. I don't check my phone right away anymore. I don't wait for texts from people who don't care. Some days I talk to Ben. He updates me on the ongoing fallout, how Spencer's business license got revoked, how more victims are stepping forward. Sometimes I get emails from people who saw my case in the news. One Navy wife wrote, My husband and I were about to refinance when I saw your story. You saved us. Thank you. I printed that one, tacked it on the wall next to my grandfather's flag and the medal I never talk about. It's funny how everything can fall apart and somehow lead you to something better. I thought losing Lena would break me, but now I understand. She didn't leave because I deployed. She left because she never really stood beside me to begin with. A marriage is supposed to be a team, but for years I was fighting alone and didn't even know it. I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain or karma or even guilt. What I do wish is that she remembers who rebuilt our kitchen after working 14-hour shifts, that she remembers the man who trusted her when the world was on fire, that she remembers the quiet soldier who answered her betrayal with a plan, not a punch. A year passed, then two. I got stronger, healthier, happier. Max and I built a small greenhouse. I learned how to fix engines, even made peace with some of Lena's family, the ones who had no part in what happened. Forgiveness is a funny thing. You don't do it for them. You do it so the weight doesn't rot your own bones. Then one fall evening, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten, no return address. Inside was a folded piece of paper and a photo. The paper said, "You don't know me. My name is Samantha. My husband is stationed in Norfolk. He deployed last winter. Someone tried to pull the same refinance scam on me. I remembered your story. I reported it before they could move a dollar. We still have our home. I still have my peace. Thank you." The photo was of her and her husband standing outside their house, arms around each other, a golden retriever sitting between them. I pinned that photo to the fridge, right next to the first letter I got from Fort Benning. And on nights when the wind pushes hard through the pine trees and the memories sneak back through the cracks, I look at those notes and remember. Sometimes the revenge isn't loud. It isn't fire and fury. Sometimes it's just peace. Sometimes it's the life you build after the damage, the one no one can take. I didn't become a hero. I didn't want to be one. But I was a soldier who came home to a different kind of war. And I fought it the only way I knew how, with discipline, with patience, and with truth. So if you're sitting there, broken by betrayal, and wondering if it's worth fighting back, let me tell you, it is. Because one day, long after the anger fades, you'll be sitting on a quiet porch watching the sun dip behind the trees, and you'll know you didn't just survive, you rebuilt. And no one can take that from you. Not again. Not ever.